say your name.
My name is Kellie Tyndall.
And your occupation?
I'm a victim advocate in the criminal justice system.
Okay. And that's in California?
That's in Ventura, California.
Okay. And it is 3/24/2023. I'm Diane Barrett with the BE Collection, and I welcome you to our interview, the first step in our process. We're almost, it's 2 years. April will be 2 years now.
Wow.
Yes. And has your sexuality impacted it in any way, plus or minus?
Oh, I think it has.
Okay.
I think my sexuality has affected my career choices, my change of jobs throughout my whole life. I'm not sure how it's impacted. Maybe we could evaluate that. But yes, it's been a presence in everything in my adult career.
Mm-hmm. So are you a native Californian?
No, I've got a little Southern accent if you can pick it up.
I know.
I'm originally from South Carolina, and I grew up in Columbia, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Columbia, South Carolina.
Right.
My first adult job was working on an ambulance, and that was a welcoming community for the LGBT lesbian community. And I was out, and I've never been back in.
Mm-hmm. How old were you then when you came out?
When I figured out that I liked girls,
Huh?
it was right at 17, 18.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so happy I wasn't broken. All my friends kept saying they were enjoying dating boys, and I kept trying, but it wasn't coming the same way as my friends. And once I figured out that I like girls, kissed a girl, oh, I liked it.
How many siblings do you have?
I have a much younger sister.
Mm-hmm.
She's about 14 years younger than I am, so we grew up separately.
Mm-hmm. Right. Any people in your family that are homosexuals that you know about?
I have a couple of cousins that are out, but that's all I know about. On my grandmother's side, my mother's family side.
Mm-hmm. Male or female?
I have one of each.
Oh, good. Give everybody a chance. Right.
Everybody's a chance.
So then how long did you stay in South Carolina?
I left South Carolina as soon as I could. I stayed in South Carolina working on an ambulance for a while, but this was pre-hydraulic lift stretchers. So I had a few back injuries and realized that I couldn't do that forever.
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked the helping field. Mm-hmm. So I tried to figure it out. Started college late, 25. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to make sense of what kind of career I wanted to have. And I walked in the student union one day and saw a big poster on the wall of a Caribbean island. And it had a man with a rum punch in his hand. It says, "Come to the islands and be a doctor." And I said, I could do that. Mm-hmm. And I applied, packed up my bags.
I've seen that poster.
What's that?
I think I've seen that poster. Right?
Yeah, well, it got me. I mean, I had no real ties or anything that held me back in South Carolina, and I was ready to see the world, and that seemed like a good opportunity. And I realized at the time I was researching what it would take to get into the medical field. I didn't want to be a nurse because I felt like the nurses worked so hard. You know, I see them working in the hospitals, and I'd had a job working in a nursing home, and it seemed like the nurses did a lot of work I didn't want to do.
Right.
And I was like, maybe a doctor, that looks good. They wear a nice white coat, and it looked interesting. Mm-hmm. And then I researched that, and I figured out that at the time I was applying, not a lot of people got in on average grades, which I had, and then even less got in at a increased age. You know, the older I was, it was looking like age 30, they weren't going to accept anyone over 30, and I was right at that number.
Where were you living then?
What's that?
Were you in California yet, or were you?
No, this was still South Carolina, going to school, trying to figure out what to do with my life. And I looked into being a doctor's assistant, and that was even harder to get in than nursing school. And then I saw that poster to come to the islands and be a doctor. And I knew I could drink rum punch and sit on the beach.
Right.
And if they wanted to make me a doctor, that was even better.
So then what was your next step?
The next step was I applied for the medical school, moved down there. There was 2 Caribbean medical schools. The first one was Ross University, was at Dominica. And that is the least developed of all of the Caribbean islands. It was very rugged terrain. There was only the big school. And it was a big manufacturer school. I felt like they were just rolling out people. And there were lots of students. The curriculum was very advanced. And I didn't fit in there. I
So
stayed
at
one
that time,
semester.
were you already out to yourself as a lesbian?
Oh yeah. I'd been a lesbian for a long time. As soon as I realized at 18 that I was a lesbian, I was so happy. I hit the bars. I was dancing on the bar tops. I was so happy.
So what made you know you were a lesbian?
I kissed a girl. That's all it took.
Was it a girl you knew, or?
Oh yeah, definitely. It was a girl I knew.
Well, it could be New Year's Eve. Who knows? Yeah.
Well, I would have kissed one of them too, probably. Anyone that wanted to kiss me, I would have been happy to.
You were right.
But no, it was a friend that I knew, and yeah, I knew at that point. I didn't understand what I felt at the time, but it didn't take long. And then I was trying to make sense of my career and what I wanted to do with my life, and I wanted to go be an EMT. And so I was working nights as a nursing assistant at a nursing home, and I met some lesbians there, and they introduced me to the bar scene. And I really wasn't old enough to get in the bars yet, but I snuck in and made myself a permanent fixture there for a while.
What were the bars like there?
The bars, well, there were a couple lesbian bars because there was a big military base close by, Fort Jackson. So there was a lot of lesbians in town, a lot of undercover people that were in the military. And the bar scenes were pretty good. When I came out to California, I was sad that there weren't as many bars or as many lesbian close-knit community. I felt like there were more in the South than there are here.
What year did you come to California?
I came to California 2004.
And so back to the Caribbean now. How long did you stay there?
I stayed there a total of 5 years.
So
I bounced from one island to another, to a more developed island, St. Lucia. And I went to Spartan University, and I ran out of money. I ran out of fortitude. I ran out of drive, and I really enjoyed laying on the beach. Tried to figure out what to do with myself. But I stuck around for a while because I wasn't really sure what to do. It was hard to get a legitimate job in St. Lucia because the unemployment rate is pretty high in a Caribbean country. So I did a lot of under the table work. I was bartender for a while to pay off my bar tab and my food bill. And then I lived in a place called Lobster Pot. And Lobster Pot had a lot of fishermen that would bring in thousands of pounds of lobster every day. And I'm like, what are you doing with the lobster? Because I'd go over to the resorts every once in a while to try to get some, Western life and utilities and rum and air condition. And I said, well, do you sell them to the resort? And they said, no, that they don't know how to communicate well with the staff or the business managers at the resorts. So I became the middleman, the broker for lobsters. I learned a little patois some broken French that they speak there. And I learned how to broker some lobsters.
Mhm.
Pretty good deal for me, but I kind of worked myself out of a job because I taught the fishermen how to sell their own lobster.
So
Yeah.
you're pretty resourceful, huh?
Had to learn how to survive
Yeah,
and
I can
have
see that.
some income.
Huh.
And it
So
was
what
fun.
happened to your medical career then? Your education part of it anyway.
Well, I realized that the Caribbean education wasn't the same as the U.S. Not that I do have classmates that are practicing physicians here in the States, but they had a lot more resources than I did, and they were much better students too. I came back to the States and I tried to figure out what to do with myself again. And I ended up in California, staying with an ex-girlfriend, and I was still had going to medical school in mind. I wanted to take the first step of the boards and then try to get some clinical programs here in the States. But when I started working full time, I started working at a mental facility in Bakersfield, California. And this facility was for problematic schizophrenic like symptoms. And the patients, it was a 30-bed facility in Bakersfield, and the work was interesting and a lot of fun. And I started out working the night program so I could study for the boards. And they asked me to move up to a supervisor for the shift. And then after the supervisor, they made me a director of the facility, and money got good to me, and I forgot all about medical school.
Mhm. Well, money talks.
Yeah, it's hard to go back after you get that paycheck.
That's right. You start living differently.
Yeah, I started eating better. I could pay my electricity. I was feeling much better.
So in Bakersfield, were you in a relationship or just on your own?
Well, I was staying with an ex-girlfriend that lost her job, so we went through helping her out. But that's where I met my wife. So I'm very happy to have landed in Bakersfield. Bakersfield was the best place in the world because I met my wife.
She lived in Bakersfield?
She grew up in Bakersfield.
I see.
And actually how I met her, so I was working as the director of the mental health facility, and I was recruited to start a new program. This program was out of Santa Barbara, but the program was for adults with developmental disabilities, a work training program. And they recruited me to open up a division there in Kern County. And when I started working at the mental health facility, I found that job through word of mouth, and that was just a direct care staff frontline position. And I've moved my way up. I was just looking for a paycheck at the time,
right?
And then it developed into something different.
Did you think your sexuality ever impeded your progress?
No,
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it possibly could have, but I wasn't aware of it. But I don't feel like it held me back. Haters are going to be haters, but you just keep doing the thing that you do, and you do it the best you can.
Mm-hmm. Did you open up about your sexuality when you would take a new job, or did they know about it?
Yeah, I don't think I could ever go back in the closet.
Mm-hmm.
Once I figured out I like girls, that was a done deal. I didn't want to hide who I am. I'm pretty open, and to hide something would take a lot more effort.
So how'd you get from Bakersfield to where you are now?
Oh, that's a good question. So I met my wife working with the developmentally disabled adult program. Mm-hmm. Actually, the people that hired me and recruited me, I asked them, I said, well, I've never worked in this type of job. What do I do? And they said, well, watch this person, because she is the person that is the top in the field, and she's the one to beat.
That's one of those good questions. No, say, I'm looking for a job, but like yours, but that person gave you good hints.
Yeah. And so I did I did what anyone would do. I
Right.
stalked her. I was her stalker. So
What do you mean by that?
well, she was top in her field,
Mhm.
and she had worked there for many years, and she was the person to beat. So I had to know what she did best. So I researched, and every community program or organization that she was on the committee for, or on a steering committee, or program, I don't know, any kind of meeting, any kind of community organization that she was a part of, I joined. And I was always sitting across the table from her, and she asked me, she goes, "Well, what do you want? Why are you here?" And I said, I just want
You
to learn
again,
from you.
right? She
Just
liked
want
it.
to learn what you know.
Mhm. Did she like it?
Well, I realized that I wasn't a good director or manager of that program,
Uh-huh.
because I did really well at branding the program and opening it,
Mhm.
but I'm not good at that maintenance kind of thing, like hiring and firing people and budgets. And when my program told me that the economy was in the crapper and I needed to cut program design, I need to lay off people, I had a hard time. I was having a meltdown. And so this person that I was stalking says, "Well, let me help you." So she came
Okay.
over to my program. She was our competition, but she came over and helped me figure out what I needed to do.
That was great. So
Yeah, it was.
she
So
valued you.
I
Yeah.
ended up not staying in that job because I wasn't cut out to be a director of anything. And she and I moved in together and decided that we would cohabitate and developed a relationship. And her mom had a stroke and lived in Ventura County. And she asked me, she says, "I need to move to be closer to my mom,
Mhm.
and I'm going to try to change positions to get closer." And I said, "Well, let's go." And I
Uh-huh.
was packing my bags faster than she was, I believe.
So what about your current wife that you've been in Bakersfield
Uh, well, she wasn't my wife. She was a
at
girlfriend.
that time? She was what? Girlfriend.
She was a girl. She was an ex-girlfriend. So
I see.
I wasn't in a relationship with her. And it was just a place for me to lay my head for a while.
That happens.
Yeah, well, I was thankful for the spot. I was thankful to get the opportunity to come out to California.
Mhm.
But so when we came to Ventura, Paula was able to transfer to a position here, and we talked about it. What kind of work would I do? Because I
Yeah.
came without a job, and we decided, since I had a little medical knowledge, from the ambulance and from working at the nursing home and what I'd learned in medical school, that I could help her mom. We didn't want to live with her, we wanted to live close by. So we had hired a live-in care provider, but that care provider would need some respite. And doing that, Paula took on the job with the money, and I took on a job that could help us with a paycheck. And that would also free me up to give respite to the care provider and help mom in her rehabilitation.
And did she rehabilitate fully?
She didn't fully, but we had quite a few years of good life, and a good relationship, that I got to meet her mom and develop a relationship with her. And Paula got to spend some quality time with her mom.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good move.
Mhm.
So I got a job working at a call center, a helpline.
Mhm.
And that was a 9 to 5 job. So that, it was a good job for me for a while. It helped me learn a lot about the resources, social service
Right.
resources in the
Yeah.
county. And after mom passed, I told Paula I thought I needed to do more work that would, stimulate my brain.
Mhm.
And I transferred departments from the helpline to working in human trafficking and domestic violence shelters that the
It was a big
organization had.
change. Huh.
Yeah, well, yeah, woo, buddy, that kept me busy for sure.
Yeah. Just
and,
learning
and so
something
I
about it.
learned a lot about shelter life, and helping people move on, and getting resources and rehabilitate. from whatever trauma or tragedy, had happened to them.
Yeah. Big responsibility.
Yeah. And from there, I was on call quite a bit for domestic violence and human trafficking call outs. And I got tired of being in the field. And I had an opportunity to apply to work at the district attorney's office as a victim advocate in the courthouse.
Mhm.
And I liked the Hall of Justice walls. I felt a lot of protection, and it was a great break from being out in the streets.
Plus, it's not that big an area when you're, for your own personal safety.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? And
Mhm.
being a big white lesbian is not hard. It's hard to hide and be incognito in a
Right.
small community.
So how did you hide it?
I didn't.
Okay.
I'm saying that I was a
Yes.
target. Like
Yeah.
I would see a lot of people, shopping, grocery shopping, or in the malls. I would run into people that I knew that were in the shelters or that
Mhm.
were the perpetrators of the crime. And I still do. I mean, you still run into people
Sure.
that I try to make. I go the other direction if I see a defendant that was on my case last week. I
Yeah.
try not to be in the same spot.
Right.
And they teach us safety and how to recognize it.
Good. So you.
But I really enjoy what I do now. My caseload is working with seniors, elder abuse, and financial scams and fraud. And I do a lot of outreach to senior community centers and community organizations, clubs, churches, synagogues, places that people would like my information on how to stay safe from scams.
Do you do a lot of speaking?
I do, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. I speak to different types, like the adult day programs that may have memory care problems.
Mhm.
My supervision has recently signed off on me dressing up like Elvis.
I saw that in your pictures. We enjoyed those. Plus,
So
because of the movie, we're into it, and I like. Elvis.
yeah, and in the day programs, the seniors will still have cell phones and still have access to their bank accounts and still be vulnerable to scams. And so Elvis sings to them. I'm living out my fantasy, doing Elvis impersonations and singing.
Now, how'd you get attracted to Elvis impersonations?
Oh, well, in the South, you have to love Elvis. That is a standard.
Yeah.
And my cousins and I, when we were growing up and kids, we would all play the movies, Elvis movies. So I would always end up being or asking to be Elvis. And so I would play Elvis and my cousins would play other parts.
So you sing?
I can't carry a note in a bucket.
So how do you play Elvis then without singing?
Oh, I sing, but my wife begs me not to.
Especially at home.
She puts up with it, but I do a lot of lip syncing and I will sing a few bars of the songs and then I will go into a very campy monologue of Elvis and how to be safe from scams.
That's a good idea. Yeah,
it works.
Attention then, huh?
it gets people's attention, and that's what I was trying to do.
So how long is the whole presentation, singing and talking?
I usually do it about an hour, or
Mhm.
until they get fed up with me and kick me out.
Huh. I was trying to think how we could encapsulate some of that, put it here in the archives.
Oh my.
Why
Well,
not?
I tell you what, the next day program that I go out and I do a Elvis impersonation, I'll send you a video recording of it.
That's great. No, we can hook that up to this. Because remember, this whole thing is archived at different universities.
Okay.
UCLA.
Yeah, I'm happy to do so as long as the day program sign off that it would be okay to do.
That's right. You have to get their consent. That's fun.
But we'll focus on me and not the participants of the program.
That's right. That's the problem with the photos. We have a lot of photos. We can only take the ones with you in them, or people with your consent.
Yeah.
All these things we learn.
Yes, we do. We learn it, and working at the DA's office, I've learned so much
Mhm.
about the law and go, okay, I understand. Got to get consent for that.
Maybe you should be an attorney.
Oh, no, no,
Why
no.
not?
Uh, I like what I'm doing, and I don't think I'm ready to study anymore.
Yeah, I understand that. You get to that.
Yeah.
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 So your next
But
step is
I'm always up for a new opportunity, and I'm really enjoying work because my unit is open for me to try different things.
Mhm. That's nice. Yeah. I like
Yeah.
that, incorporating Elvis to get people's attention to teach them. That's a good idea. Very timely.
Yeah, I can't do it with every outreach that I do.
Mhm.
It all depends on the audience,
Mhm.
but the day programs seem to enjoy it, and I enjoy it.
It's good
It's
to
my
know.
carrot.
Yeah, right. We all need one. So what's ever stood in your way from doing what you wanted, except yourself? Anything?
Oh, now that was a good question there, because you hit the nail right on the head. I usually stand in my way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the one that usually stands in the way of doing what I want to do.
We all,
And I don't know if it's either fear or procrastination, or maybe a combination, but that has been the reason that I haven't done something that I wanted to do.
Mhm.
Like medical school.
Yeah.
I believe if I really wanted to finish medical school, I would have figured out a way to do it.
Right.
I don't think that I was cut out for that career, so
Mhm.
I'm happy where I am.
Mhm. That's important.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
enjoyed working on the ambulance when I was young. That was great fun. I like the energy. Love going code 3 in the ambulance, and the hype. I enjoyed helping people, and that's the reason I wanted to get in. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in my life, and then I was at my Aunt Daisy Bell's house, and she was terminally ill, and I watched an ambulance crew come in, and I was like, that's what I want to do. Yeah, it was really nice.
different pacing.
I think you always have to have purpose.
Well, I think you're right. Yeah. And that's what I think they found. That's why I couldn't find the real retired lesbian. We don't.
Whether it's a paid position or a volunteer position, you have to have some kind of purpose. You have to have something to make you want to get out of bed.
Right. And we're creative,
Yeah.
very creative. So we try different things. A lot of art.
I'm not an artist, but I enjoy art.
Mhm.
Uh,
Goodwill is important.
Goodwill is very important.
So if you knew that your life was ending soon, how would you like to be remembered?
Boy, that's a hard one.
Mhm.
How do you want to be remembered? Full of life and love,
Uh-huh.
kind.
It's amazing how many people say kind.
Yeah.
Mhm. We need that. Yeah.
Life, love, and kind.
Mhm. I can see that in you.
I've enjoyed life. I want to keep living, though,
Yeah.
as long as I'm healthy and
Mhm.
I'm not a burden, and I have some faculties about me.
Right. You have a lot of those.
I don't think I want to live if I'm not if I don't have all my faculties. I'd like
That's
some
right.
of them. Uh, you have to have some kind of quality of life.
Mhm.
If the quality of life is gone, I'm ready to move on.
Me too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But don't count me out too fast.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say goodbye. Have a good
All
evening.
right.
I'll see you again. Bye. Thank you.